Drake, based on what we have both highlighted, Utah will have an opportunity, if they make the Big 12 championship, to win the Big 12 and have a very good chance. Actually, excuse me, they won the conference, so they're hosting a college football playoff game, which is crazy to say out loud that's what Utah can do, but it's very much so on the table because of the talent they return. And as we said as well, the schedule definitely helps. Like, you don't see games at Kansas State where you're like, I know they got all this back, but it makes it tough too. So I like Utah's odds to do it. I'd love to hear your thoughts on who you think the other opponent's going to be, but I like this Utah team, and as of right now, I'm going to say yes, they win the Big 12 in their first year because Cam Rising in championship games, and there's a lot of guys on this Utah team. They have over 7 guys on both sides of the ball that have played meaningful snaps in at least one of, if not both of, their championship games. I like the experience. I'll roll with the veterans. And I trust in Kyle Whittingham to bring home another conference championship, this time in Big 12 fashion.
Yeah, let's talk about this. Let's go game by game, rapid fire from yours truly of games that Utah will be favored. Southern Utah, yes. Baylor, yes. Utah State, yes. Oklahoma State, coin flip. Arizona, yes. Arizona State, yes. At home against TCU, yes. At Houston, yes. Against BYU at home, yes. At Colorado, yes. Have you noticed a trend? Against Iowa State at home, yes. At UCF, Utah will be favored in 11 out of 12 games at the very least. And to say that is to say this is the easiest schedule in the Big 12. This is possibly the best roster. It's still going to be tough to tell because I don't know that the second transfer window is going to open up. Things can change. I don't know if they'll change dramatically enough for somebody to usurp Utah from that role, from that spot. But nobody else is looking at 11 games, maybe even 12, where they are going to be favored this season. I still think Utah loses 2 games somewhere in there because that's what the Big 12 is. That's the parity of this conference. But in today's college football, where the winner of the league gets an automatic bid to the playoff, all Utah has to do is get to the conference championship game. And to be honest with you, JT, that's kind of what Utah was in those Pac-12 championship years. All we have to do is get to that game and go win it. If we can just book our ticket to conference championship weekend, then the destiny is in our hands. Now, like, it's even bigger with the college football playoff being a factor for Utah. 10-2 is enough to get you into the Big 12 championship. And don't be shocked. Another team that I think has a top 3, top 5 at the very least roster in this 16-team Big 12 is Kansas. And their schedule, too, is fairly favorable. When I start thinking some of the best quarterbacks in this league, we already mentioned Shedeur Sanders, how good he is. You got Daniels at Kansas, to even a sneaky KJ Jefferson at UCF. What could he bring you? And there's we've mentioned Garrett Green and what Garrett Green gives, and Noah Fafita. And obviously, Utah is in a bright spot for the quarterback position. I think it's gonna be one of those teams with an elite quarterback that vies for the conference title. Utah and Kansas are both in that conversation of those categories. They have easy enough schedules to get there. I really do favor Utah and Kansas just practically. Like, what is the obvious practical on paper? This is how it should be. Utah and Kansas.
I like it. I like it a lot. I think it'd be fun. It's still crazy that Lance staying at Kansas. Yeah. I still can't turning down Washington. No, I'm staying at Kansas. That shows you how much he believes in this group, in this team. And I would be totally down for Utah versus Kansas in the Big 12 championship game. I think that would be awesome.
Hey, look, 2007 wasn't that long ago. People freak out. So, Kansas in the Big 12 championship, it has happened before. We have had Kansas be good at the football thing, and that one was a flash in the pan. This Kansas team, Lance Leipold, they're not a flash in the pan. They have the best offense in the Big 12 next season. Maybe Colorado is in that conversation. Need to see what their O-line looks like. Kansas, though, oh, dude, that's humming. It's going to be fun to watch.
It's going to be so much fun to watch. I'm sure there's a number of you who are listening to me from the Big 12 side of things who are like, this Utah guy is full of crap. But Drake, I don't know about you. I just get excited looking at these schedules, seeing them coming out, knowing we're so close to the first season of the new look Big 12. I think it's going to be a blast, no matter what plays out.
Yeah, and I told you a couple months ago, JT, I think we talked even before, I think this was in August, when you said, will Utah win the Big 12 championship in year 1? And I said no, and I still... I think
I said no at the time, too, because I didn't think Cam was coming back.
Yeah. And I can't confidently say yes. I can't confidently say yes to any team until we get to give me August 1st, and I'll tell you that, yes, this team will. That word will. Who will win the Big 12 championship? And that is August 1st. I'll come on right back here and tell you Utah will or won't. I'll have my horse picked by then, hopefully. And it's not by virtue of anything that's wrong with Utah. Just we need, these conversations are so preliminary, which is healthy to have, right? this is great dialogue for a team in such a good spot. But give it a few months. A lot of things can change. I don't think they will. Right now, Utah's in the one slot for me. They've got as good a shot as anybody, and maybe even a little bit better.
To your point about not being absolute on it, how long was Texas supposed to be back before they finally broke through? And
12 years. 12 years, yeah.
It's crazy how long it can take, and it's a grind. Utah's the roster, but it's another thing to actually go out there and do it. Can't wait to see how it all plays out. Drake, always appreciate you coming on, and appreciate all of you for tuning into this Locked On Utes and Locked On Big 12 crossover. Drake, great stuff as always.
Dude, pleasure.
That's going to do it for today's crossover, but we'll be back with you all soon talking more things Utah and Big 12 in the near future.